Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where you'll hear stories about Karens mistaking others as employees when they aren't. Guys, get ready because this episode is gonna leave you shaking your heads. The stories are too wild. I hope you enjoy them and do hit that subscribe button for future tales. So I'm so angry right now. This happened like 2 hours ago, and I could still punch the old bat. So long story short, I recently lost my newborn. Obviously, I'm still not okay, but the one thing making everything worse was still having his clothes and things we had prepared for him to come home to, and he wouldn't be. My husband and I decided that it might make things easier to return some of the stuff and donate the return money to the hospital. Anyways, so we head off to one of the big department stores in the big shopping district in London. The shop is known for somewhat older clientele. We finished returning the stuff we had with us, and on the top floor, there was a cafe thing with a seating area. Now, I needed to sit down and, well, just pretend that I wasn't there for a moment. I finished getting a drink before my other half has collected his food, so I had to find some seats for us. To do this, I head back through the cafe opening by the close, as you have to go past them to go to the seats. As I'm going past this small stretch, which couldn't have been more than a few steps, there's a tug on my coat. Now, thinking I snagged it on something, I turned around to see this older woman. She does not deserve to be called a lady, and she was holding on to me. I miss what she says, but it's clear that she says something as this woman tugs on my coat again, pulling me towards her. Like, seriously. I was an inch from this shriveled up, old mustache, rotted teeth smelling face. I try to get away and ask her what she wants at the same time. All of what's next is what was said, and I can remember most of it because it made me want to kill her. The old woman says to me, "I said, where are the small dresses?" I told her, "I'm sorry, I don't know, please let me go, I have to go now." At that, the lady says to me, "I asked you a simple question, young lady. Don't be so rude." I could smell the cigarette breath hitting me full face from her mouth. I told her to let my coat go, and she says, "I just need to know where the dresses for ages 6 are." I then tell her, "I don't effing know. Now let me go." At this point, I pulled my coat out of her hand. I just really wanted to sit down now. She then says to me, "How could you? You should respect me as your elder. Who raised you?" At this point, I'm walking off. I don't care about this deluded old woman. I need to sit the heck down as my body isn't completely back to being able to stand fully for a long time, so I needed to sit. So I'm sitting down with hubby for what must have been a good 20 minutes. I retold him what the shouting he said he heard was about, and I said it was nothing. Then, I hear a commotion, and this old bat looks like a bull charging to me. She's making her way through the tables to where we are. She then throws a little dress down on the table and into my husband's food and points to it saying, "This is what I was looking for. Do you see this? Do you see now? This, little one, is a dress. You put granddaughters in it. This was all I wanted, and it was too hard for you to get for me." At this, my hubby says, Whoa, back up. Why should she get it for you?" The old woman then says, "She works here, or are you a fool too?" I then tell her, "I don't work here, just take your things and leave us alone." I then push her dress off the table and onto the floor at this point, and she says, "She works here." My hubby says, "She doesn't work here, go away from us." So at this, the old woman then says, "Well, that's obvious now. I should have seen it before. It's obvious she couldn't tell what a child's clothes are from a badger." Now, I do admit writing it now, but I did lose it a bit. But I had all my son's clothes picked out for months, and I did everything with that. I love doing it. I had just returned the outfit that we had planned to bring him home in. If we had been returning anything else, I admittedly probably would have been okay, but she just said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and I flipped. I started half screaming, half crying and shouting, telling her what we just did, and how she was lucky to have a child, let alone having a grandchild to shop for. Just word vomit. My husband finally calmed me down enough until I was just sobbing. But give the old bat her due, because she just stood there through everything I said and listened to it all. After a moment, she opened her vile mouth and then said to us, "Well, maybe it's better that way, for people like you." Now, how my husband managed to keep me from hitting her and not hitting her himself, I don't know. By that time, there was a crowd. I could see random people just standing there, and there was staff. I wasn't sure what they did or said, but the bitch went off with them. 2 of the staff stayed behind with us, and I think one might have been a manager, and they partly apologized. I can't remember what he said, but I heard sorry. I just wanted to get out of there at this point. I hope the old bitch ends up in the ground soon, and painfully so. Wow, OP is definitely right with that one. How she refrained from not hitting that woman right then and there is beyond me. Maybe it's better that way for people like you. Like, really? Really, Karen? That's definitely crossing a line. Like, how the heck can you respect elders when they frickin' pull that crap? You don't get a pass for being old. Everybody gets old. A-holes get old, and this woman was definitely an entitled a-hole 1000%. So, a little bit of backstory. My younger sister used to have bad social anxiety when she was little, but my parents got her into therapy and she got significantly better throughout the years. Now she's 100% functioning. She's very talkative and funny when dealing with family or friends, but she's a bit shy when dealing with strangers. Basically, the only occasions when her old anxiety kicks in is when she's supposed to speak in public or when strangers get confrontational with her, which is, as you probably understand, what's important to this story. Anyway, enough about my sister. So about 2 years ago, I got back home from being out of the country for several months and decided to take my sister shopping because she had a birthday just a few weeks earlier. Now my sister is a very talented artist, and back then she was at a stage where she was convinced that artists are supposed to dress classy, which meant that when I picked her up, she was dressed in gray trousers, a white shirt and vest, nice dress shoes. My point is she looked very official. Anyway, we went shopping, and she wanted mainly some painting supplies, and on the way home, I decided to stop in a big hardware store because I needed some stuff for my hiking trip with my friends. My sister went inside with me, and she wandered off to look at some other stuff while I did my shopping. I was done in maybe 10 minutes, and as I was pushing my cart towards the registers and looking around to see if I can spot my sister, I heard some guy screaming at someone, presumably an employee, about how incompetent they were and how he's getting them fired, etc, etc. Just some general stuff you see mentioned here all the time, but I don't exactly remember it to the last word. The guy sounded very angry and he used a lot of profanities. I didn't pay much attention. I thought it was some poor employee being berated. However, as I was crossing the aisle where this incident was taking place, I realized to my horror that it's not an employee getting screamed at. It's my sister. The guy was dressed in a business suit and he was holding her by the hand, shouting profanities right in her face. My sister looked absolutely terrified and she was on the verge of tears. I immediately went into protective brother mode and sprinted across those 10-something meters and body checked the guy away from my sister, while screaming at him to leave her the F alone. The guy gets up looking dumbfounded at first, and then he gets aggressive. He started going off about who the heck I think I am putting my hands on him. He then started shoving me back, and I'm a pretty big guy, bigger and taller than him, so I just wrestled him to the ground, where he just kept screaming incomprehensibly. By this point, the commotion had already attracted the attention of an employee, who promptly called a manager and a security guard. I then told them what happened. The guy was calmed down a bit, so I let him go, and he started ranting how he's gonna sue all of us, but didn't try to get physical again. The manager called the police, who then took statements from all of us, even my sister, who was finally able to speak normally. And then they reviewed the footage from the cameras. So apparently what happened before I got involved was this. My sister was checking out some electronics and she noticed some headphones or something had fallen off the shelf. My sister then starts putting it back and the guy sees her. And since she's dressed in official looking clothes, he thinks she's an employee or manager or something, and he stands behind her waiting until he gets her attention. Now, my sister blocks him out at first because she doesn't realize that he wants something from her. So after a while, the guy gets visibly annoyed. He grabs her by the shoulder and flips out on her about how unprofessional she is, etc, etc. Now my sister, being as shy as she is shocked and she stutters over herself, unable to explain that she doesn't work there. Apparently this just makes him more mad. He progressively gets more aggressive and he actually slaps my sister. A few seconds later, I appear and you know the rest. So what happened next is the cops came and they cuffed that psycho. I remember he actually said to me, "What are you doing? Why aren't you arresting him? He attacked me." The guy wasn't able to comprehend that grabbing my sister's arm and slapping her wasn't okay. He was later charged with assault. We didn't really care. The store manager apologized, and even though we didn't blame the store in any way, they gave us some vouchers. My sister was a bit shaken, and she was physically okay, aside from a small bruise from how he held her hand. Guys, although it was such a crazy and unfortunate position for OP's sister to be in, I love the fact that Big Brother charged to the rescue, like literally. I'll never understand why people feel the need to just grab others when they're not listening to them. What a satisfying story though, guys. Idiot assaults OP's sister, gets his ass handed to him, ends up getting arrested and charged. I'm a teen services librarian in a public library that caters to one of the largest school districts in the state. Now, the people here view themselves as from a higher pedigree than others and have personalities to match. This story happened last Saturday after work and then floated into yesterday. So I was at the mall doing some shopping for some summer sales. I didn't realize that I still had my name tag on, but it has the library's name tag and emblem on it, making it obvious that I don't work in any of the stores. Anyway, on with the story. When I go into a store, I'm approached by a few of the teens that I associate with at work very often. They ask me some questions about upcoming events, and I answer them to the best of my ability. After a few moments, we part ways, me continuing further into the store to browse around. Combing through the clearance with hangers of clothes hooked on my arm, I hear a woman huffing and feel the hard 2-finger taps on my shoulder. Now, if I didn't know any better, I bet she wanted to gouge out some flesh with those acrylics she had on. She then says to me, "Excuse me, I have to chase you to the other end of the store after you help those teenagers, and you don't even offer to help me?" Now, while this woman doesn't have the Karen haircut or appearance, she makes up for it in personality. She moves her sunglasses off her face to the top of her head, while I guess trying to give me a mom glare. I say to her, "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm a librarian, and those were teens who I see almost every day. I'm sorry that you got the wrong impression." Now at this, I try to stay as professional and as calm as possible. While she may be rude, I refuse to be. Karen then huffs, rolls her eyes, crossing her arms across her chest, saying, "Whatever, you still represent the library even when you're not working. You help people get things at work, so you have to help me now." Now at this, I do blink at her for a moment, not really getting that logic. Without me being physically at the library, no, I don't have to do squat for this woman. At this point, I don't even want to volunteer to help her find an employee anymore, like I was planning to do in the first place. I tell her, "Ma'am, again, I don't work here. I'm sorry, but it's not my job right now to help you in the store." Unfortunately, my explanation doesn't fly with the woman. She literally stomps her foot like a 5-year-old, and she gets louder as she goes on saying, No. You are a civil servant. That means you serve. That means you have to listen to what I tell you, and I want you to help me. Now." At this point, a cute little employee comes up to us asking, "Can I help you, ladies?" And Karen gives me a, "Look what I'm gonna do now, look." She then turns to the employee and says, "Thank you. Yes, I need to speak to your manager here and have them go through the cameras. This bitch," pointing to me, "has been impolite, unwilling to help me, and discriminatory to me for the past 10 minutes. At this, the employee says, "Of course, I'm sorry. I have no idea what happened. I just got in." The employee flounders around, looking between us. I can feel myself getting a little bit more red and getting nervous with the involvement of a manager, innocent or not. So the manager now comes over. She's a woman that I recognize from visiting the library as a patron, though I never interacted with her. The manager smiles at me, recognizing me, and says, "Hi, you're from the library, right? In the teen department?" Now at this, I smile, realizing that I do have an ally in my corner. I just nod. Karen instantly steps in saying, "Yes, she is from the library, and she's refusing to help me." Karen is so busy making herself look like such a sad little victim here. The manager then says to her, "So let me see if I understand you. You acknowledge and understand that this young woman is not an employee of the store, but a librarian. She's not liable to help you here, but you still want her to." Now, absolutely seething Karen hisses a breath out between her teeth and says, "Yes, she represents civil servants even outside of work. She works for the state. And since I'm also a citizen of the state, she must help me when I need it." Now at this, the manager does take a deep breath, and she says it's not her job to help you outside of her work, especially in a place that's not even in the field of her work. "I will personally help you myself today." Karen makes a move to speak again, but manager whips her hand up to make her stop mid-breath, and she looks at me and says, "Go ahead and continue shopping. I'll let the cashiers know to give you 25% off your purchase for today." My purchase was then made, and I think it's the end of it. Nope, no it's not. So fast forward to earlier yesterday, Monday, my first day back after the weekend. My supervisor calls me early this morning before my shift, asking me if I can come into work early to have a small talk. When I get to work, I'm told to go to the library director's office, and now I'm very worried that this is something about my job performance here. I close the door behind me and sit down. I feel my body reacting to my nerves, and my hands are starting to shake, my knees are getting wobbly, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Honestly, I think at this point that I'm getting written up or fired or even both. The director then tells me, "You can breathe, OP. So, we've received an email to the administration account regarding you from Saturday. The schedule says you were on, the camera feed shows no confrontations, and the phone calls you answered were very short in length. What exactly happened?" So I'm then given the email to read regarding me. Right away, I can tell from the speech pattern that this is the woman from the store. The entire time I'm reading it, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's that woman from the store. The email completely rips apart my character. Says that when I'm in a public environment, I'm supposed to cater to those who are in the school district. I guess she works for the school. I then say to the director, I can tell you exactly what happened in regards to this email. I was off the clock and I was no longer on library premises. I then launch into the story. By the end, my supervisor and the director are giving me the same blank-faced, blinking expression that both I and the manager from the store had. We all laughed it off and they told me to let them know if she comes into the teen area and gives me trouble if she sees me. And she does. So I'm at work one day when all of a sudden, I hear, I don't see her. I think she really did get her ass fired. I can hear her talking to someone, and all I hear is, "Mom, let's just go. This is a teen section." A little kid's voice comes from behind me. The woman says, "It's fine for now, hun. We're just looking around." She does sound nice to the kid, and she says, "We'll be out of here by the time the program starts up. See? The librarian here's working on the laptop to get things ready. Maybe she'll know about the other woman." Now, I have my back turned, pretending that I'm working and I don't hear her. It's confirmed to me that this is the woman from the store. She then comes up to me asking, "Excuse me, do you mind if we ask you a question?" Her tone is more stern when addressing me though, of course. Silently, I turn around and meet her gaze, and she says, "You! I can't believe you still have this job." I say to her, "Of course, I work here, ma'am." Now I'm smirking when I say this, and I say, "I'm a civil servant, am I not? I serve the library community. Why wouldn't I be here?" The woman sputters for a moment, while I walk to the phone in the room to call my supervisor, who I hoped to catch before she left. It rang for a bit, but no answer. It was a little after 5, so I'm assuming she went home. So I pull out plan B. I call the general teen office number for any full-timer. A librarian comes while the woman's calling me a pretentious bitch, and whatever else. She says to me, "OP, are you okay?" Now the crazy lady turns on her and says, "Are you a supervisor?" The librarian tells her, "I'm not the head of the department, but I'm a full-time librarian. What can I help you with?" The woman then points at me and says, "That one. She's been disrespectful to me each time I've seen her. I sent an email and clearly it seems that nothing's been done. Your administration is clearly a joke." The quiet realization comes over the librarian's face. News of the story had spread along the grapevine like wildfire here, and everybody knows to be on their toes around patrons right now. The librarian then tells her, "Ma'am, OP is one of the most respectful employees here. If something happened away from the library, there's nothing that can be done. This is between you two personally. However, if something were to happen here today, then that's a different story." At this, the woman then screams, Yes, something happened. I asked her a question a minute ago, and out of nowhere, she attacked my son," pointing at her kid standing by the door. Now at this, the kid looks up from the door with wide eyes, clearly not expecting to be thrown into this. He says, "No, Mom, what? Quiet. I'll take care of this." She then hisses at him before turning back to the employee and says, "Check the cameras and get security. I want to press charges for assault on a minor." I feel myself getting red. Like I said, regardless of me being innocent, I'm gonna look like a deer in headlights. A moment later of calling the cavalry, the director, the assistant director, and the guard that I'm friendly with all come down. The assistant director and I are talking about what happened, while the other teen department librarian are using the computer in the room to get the feed. The director is speaking with the woman and her son. The assistant director then tells me, "I wouldn't worry, OP. I don't think you would do anything like she claims, but we still have to take these things seriously." I then say, "Thank you, I understand." The camera feed is shown to everybody in the room, and it's clear that we only said words and no assault was conducted on my part. The director then told the woman that clearly this is harassment and she'll be put on a 3-month ban from the library. If her son wants to come, someone else is going to have to bring him. She will not be allowed on the library premises. Once she was escorted from the building by the guard, I was given an informal warning, though, on how I addressed her. It did sting a bit, but I guess I understand. Talk about being super entitled, right? I would have gotten the police involved at that point, guys. I can't believe that woman actually sent that email to try to get OP fired, and even showed up at the library to see if OP was fired, and then made false accusations of assault. Guys, 3-month ban isn't enough. She needs a perma ban. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'll link it right here. A Karen pretends to own a mansion, and she gets embarrassed. It's such a funny story, so check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.